Welcome back, Becoming the Goddaughter, episode 2. We now have 17 subscribers. Let's go. Feeling good about that. When I sat down and contemplated, meditated, insert whatever word about how I wanted to position, structure, whatever, the episodes to come, I do what I always do now and ask the universe to show me, to make it undeniably, abundantly clear what is the most important thing to connect with this specific audience on, in order not only to bring my story and the goddaughter to the masses, but in each video, in each moment that we get to share together, what value can I give you? What insight can I give you? What inspiration can I offer from my own experience or from what I've learned, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Because this is about you. This whole thing is about you and about us as a family, the human family. Okay. So years ago, a very dear friend of mine introduced me to the Japanese art form called Kintsugi. And what Kintsugi is, in a literal sense, is the shattering and the gluing back together with this beautiful gold lacquer. I don't know if that's how you say it. The gluing back together of the pottery. And the idea is that the brokenness is actually the beginning of what truly was always meant to be. The brokenness is the beginning. That is how the light gets in. So when you hear something like that, you're like, holy shit, that can be applied, and that is up for interpretation in a lot of layers of life. It is a way now that I live my life and I share with clients, family members, friends. If we view this whole human experience through the lens of our breaking and our vulnerably surrendering to the moments in which the universe clotheslines us, rocks us, and trust that that's actually how our soul light, our true purpose gets in, that's the beginning, everything changes. Because we're taught from such a young age that success looks a certain way, that expressing emotions looks a certain way, or perhaps not at all is the way to go. We're taught directly and indirectly that failure should be hidden, and using resilience by way of consistently avoiding internal suppressed traumas, feelings, is how you climb the mountain. But Kintsugi offers us a different perspective. And when you integrate that perspective into your life, everything changes. So, when I asked the universe what would be the most important thing to connect with you, peoples, on, my sweet Sienna created a pottery sculpture in school last week. She made a cute little bird and a bird's nest. And as I mentioned, I had asked the universe, show me what the people need to know more than anything else. I came home the other day. The beautiful little sculpture was on the counter. My dogs, who are savages, had climbed up on the counter, aiming for the donuts, and shattered the bird's nest. And I said, oh shit, Kintsugi. So after I inform Sienna and she gets initially mad, and then maybe we'll cry a little bit, we are going to hot glue this bird's nest back together. And yes, it might be abstract, but it will be beautiful. And that's where we begin today. Now, let's set the scene. We will go back and I will remind you of the Orange Impossible Dream opening. Michael Corleone in the chair, a woman coming to pick up the fallen orange, the symbol of death becoming the symbol of life, life, life. Okay, so that ends. And the beautiful musical stylings of The Impossible Dream, sung by Gavin DeGraw, fades into a very lively scene from a high school. And there's a ton of students in what appears to be some sort of conference room, comfy cove room, study hall-esque situation. There are teachers walking around. You know how it's like, whether it was you as a student or perhaps you've worked in a school. The morning rush is chaotic. So there's a teacher in this nucleus of students chilling. Because what is a good teacher of life? Because this is actually the goddaughter in this scene, and she's the counselor, therefore she teaches life. What is a good teacher of life to do but immerse herself into the happenings of the students in an authentic way to then open them up if they should need her in moments of toil or trouble? So it's, again, authentic. That's just called human connection. Okay. So they're lounging. There's a student who is playing with an orange himself. And in this particular study hall room, there is no food allowed. I'm just giving you some background on this. There's no food allowed. There's a big sign, no food allowed, because the furniture is super fancy. The student is tossing his own orange. Didn't eat breakfast. The student has a backstory that, again, we're not going to get into completely on this because there's just not the time. You'll have to see it on the live screen. We have to get it there first. Okay, land the plane, Anna. Landing the plane. The student drops the orange. And in that moment, the counselor, the goddaughter, picks it up. And in that moment, the principal, who looks livid from reasons unknown, is beelining. This principal has a slight, we'll say, vendetta against the student who dropped the orange. However, he didn't see that it actually came from that student. He just saw the counselor picking it up. Based on his own instincts, he assumed, and assumed correctly, that it came from the student. But what ends up happening is the counselor takes the credit for the orange. And because there's no proof that it didn't, he gets very frustrated and tells her to meet him in his office. So she goes, looking back at the student, and says, "Thanks for the orange." Goes to the office, principal slams the door and lights her up. She takes it. And then as she's leaving, he says to her, "What do you need, a 504 plan or something?" Speaking to, so many things wrong with that statement, but this is not to analyze. Speaking to the fact that she very clearly is doing something that is against the standard of performance. And something must be actually psychologically wrong with her to do that. She was prepared for the annihilation, yet it still kind of stung a little bit. So she goes into her office. Her counterpart counselor then joins her. An amazingly wise man, much older than her. He goes, yeah, you really blew it, huh? What'd you do? And as they kind of discuss what had just happened, knowing smiles and smirks, the principal comes back in, complimenting the outfit that the goddaughter was wearing. A very bizarre shift in energy, to which she accepts the compliment, because what else are you going to do? And prepares to go on to a recruiting trip to local middle schools to present about how amazing the school climate is at her current school and how all of these students would be lucky to enter the walls. There's so much irony in that, isn't there? So as she and her wise counterpart counselor gear up to go, she realizes that her gas gauge is on empty. There's about two types of people in this world: the empty people and the full tank people. The goddaughter is the empty person, but it makes for a fun, optimistic way of living. So they have to stop at a gas station. And when they do, she's trying to pump the gas. Something's going on. It's not quite working. And in that moment, there's a huge construction truck that enters the gas station. The song Gangsta's Paradise is playing. Do you want a point of reference? Alexa, play Gangsta's Paradise. Alexa, volume 8. Alexa, volume 10. This is worth it, I think. Okay, so the song is playing, and by the way, this song gave me this scene. Okay, that got wild. So this construction truck comes into the gas station, blaring the song. And this attractive, a little mysterious, smirk-filled man steps out of the truck. There's some other guys in the truck as well. Workers, friends, colleagues, whatever. All dirty, stained, cement just smeared places. And this character, this man, is very intrigued by the woman now dancing to the song blaring out of his truck while trying to pump the gas, unsuccessfully pump the gas. And he actually starts dancing behind her. You've seen this like Will Smith video that circulates where he's dancing behind his on-screen cousin and then she turns around and sees him. That's kind of the vibe. But when Via turns to see him, she gets even more startled and just sprays the gas. She's then asked by this gentleman if she needs assistance, to which she, of course, says no. She gets back in the car. The counselor, the elder, the wise man counselor, sees the interaction and goes, "Oh, I think he likes you." And she has this playful relationship with him. "Oh, we gotta go." The back of the car has the emblem, the logo, bumper sticker of the school. And the construction gentleman overhears her name spoken by the other counselor, just planting some seeds. They go to the recruitment, they come back to the school, and there's flowers sitting on the office manager's desk. She comes back unknowing, didn't ask for this, just trying to get into her office so she can see the kids the rest of the day. But she's met again with this disastrous tornado of how dare you go out in the world representing our school, me, to create a situation where someone sends you flowers and writes a note like this. You'll have to wait to see what the note says when you see the movie. You've disrupted the day. You've tarnished the name of the school. And I think you should just do paperwork. You shouldn't even see kids the rest of the day. You're not in the right state to see kids the rest of the day. Get in there. Okay. So she goes out the rest of the day, finishes the day, stone-faced, goes home. Okay. So Via lives with her father, Anthony. She goes home to find him, so 3:30 p.m. She goes home. She's kind of beat down, emotional roller coaster that day. Goes home, finds her father clearly shit-faced, hunched over the family piano. They live together, just them two. If you recall, the mother has passed. She comes home. She finds him hunched over I was going to say computer. The piano is a computer of sorts. Hunched over the computer. Hunched over the piano. The piano. Playing Let It Be. He looks up. He sees her, asks her to join him. She says, no, not right now, Dad. She has this pain and sorrow for him and has done her best to lift him up since his wife, her mother, has passed. What that has created, though, is an internal suppression. So she leaves him, yet is still inspired by that song. It's a beautiful song, Let It Be. She then goes to her grandparents' house right down the road. And she just wants to be with people that aren't that fucked up. So she goes. Her grandfather opens the door wearing a Hawaiian shirt, so excited to see her. What's up? He can sense something's going on and asks, you okay, kid? She says, yeah. Just a crazy day. They have dinner. Then she leaves. She's not ready to go back home yet because she's not sure of the state of her father. So she ends up going to this beautiful angel sculpture that was recently put up at a local park. It's this sculpture of a multicolored angel, full wings, a woman's face, that reminds her of her own mother. And when it was put up by an artist who is unnamed, when it was put up, she thought of it as a sign from her mother who passed. So instead of going to the gravesite to connect with her mom, she has started going to this beautiful, multicolored statue. So there, finally, after a full day of complete chaos, she releases and she sobs, asking her mother, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Help me. As she's crying, weeping really, uncontrollably, her phone rings, and it's from her friend in London, her best friend, who was living in London for a few years. And she sees the phone. She's like, I don't want her to know I'm crying. So she gathers herself, answers the phone, and says, what's up, ho? And then they begin. End scene. I'm of the belief that nothing happens to anybody for no reason. We are all creating our experience. Our souls chose to experience certain checkpoints, certain challenges, certain relationship dynamics in order for us to hopefully move through those challenges, learn the lesson, allow ourselves to be broken open to begin the next level of the journey, to then ripple that and find the others and collaborate and to circle it all back, become free. So that is episode 2. Please like this video, ask me questions below. If you want to know certain things, I'm a woman of the people. I'm going to be continuing to check in with myself, the universe, this story, because the story really is its own consciousness. I don't know if you're familiar with Elizabeth Gilbert's work, but this idea of the spirit of creativity is very real. And this story did find me. And as I said before, I am going to steward it. I'm going to bring it forward. And I'm going to do so with a no FUCKS attitude. So I hope you join me again on Wednesday, hump day, for episode 3. Until then, remember, there is no such thing as an impossible dream. Okay, goodbye.